welcome to The Natural View. I'm Maggie Jaqua. I'm the content director of WholeFoods magazine, and I'm here with Todd of 24 Stories Marketing, and you have something new to tell us about. What do we have going on?
Yeah, kind of excited. This past month, we launched Move Nutrition Network. So that's a new initiative we're pretty excited about. It's all focused on the sports and active nutrition category.
And it's such a great time to be talking about that category because everything I'm seeing, it's just going up, up, up. Verified market research, they're saying 66 billion by 2028 is the projected forecast for that market, which is huge. And we had reported earlier that FMCG gurus found 95% of consumers had purchased a sports nutrition product in the previous 6 months from the study, which was like in 2020. But everything that comes out is like these massive numbers. So you're diving into this category, and what is the deal? What are you guys exactly doing?
Yeah. Well, first, thanks for having me on our podcast. This is pretty exciting to be talking to you about this, especially because we've had this connection, right? We did the pandemic era Fit for Natural thing. We've done squat challenges together. We've both races. So
yes, we planked. I did not join you for hiking the Grand Canyon, but I wish I had.
Yeah. Well, there's always next year. So yeah, the numbers you bring up are astounding. What I think is really encouraging too, just if we could talk about numbers for just a second, is a lot of that growth is coming from folks that you wouldn't traditionally think of as sports nutrition purchasers, right? It's not necessarily the people, I mean, they're still buying, but it's not necessarily the people that are grinding it out in the gym, doing squats and deadlifts every morning. That's still a market, obviously, but there are a lot of people who are focused on active lifestyle, knowing that they have to move and get active to maintain health long term. And so it's a lot of those folks. And you've probably heard it. I mean, we all have friends who are like, hey, I've heard about this creatine. I thought that was just for bodybuilders, but now I'm hearing, and so people are coming up and talking about it, which is really.
And I have to tell you about creatine. Like we did with Naturally Informed, we did our active nutrition, active aging conference.
Yeah.
And the amount of, we had world-class researchers talking, and the amount who talked about creatine and creatine for women and these markets that they're just exploring, and they're just starting to, broaden who they're studying and starting to get the word out there. And so we were all, Heather Weiner and Tracy Kantowski were all behind the scenes texting each other like, we have to go get creatine right away.
It's in my cart. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's amazing. So kind of what brought this all about, along with the market growth, was just back a couple of years ago, being on this online conference and had some downtime between sessions and was talking to a bunch of researchers in the area of sports and active nutrition, a bunch of professors that we hear the names and they've done pioneering work in that field. And you guys, other trade media company or outlets, and then other folks like conference, people who've gone on the conferences, wherever they service this information, and there's a lot of good information out there, but I just thought, man, why isn't there more of a direct connection between what this research is and the people in the gyms who are training others, or dietitians and sports nutritionists who are talking to others? I mean, there needs to be, as we all know, if we're familiar with the sports nutrition category, there have been some products out there over the years. There's been some issues. If you're buying your pre-workout from the gas station, I don't know, it might be okay. Maybe it's not. So, I really started thinking about it vertically, taking all of that good research that's being done, all the science behind it, and then cascading that down through the ingredient companies who really do pay attention to those studies and react and develop ingredients, the brands who then put that out to consumers, and obviously the people who work with consumers, the people that in the gyms get asked, just like we were talking about, like, hey, should I be taking protein? Will that make me bulk up, or is it okay to take it? And they get all of these questions. I thought there should just be this more direct line to, not only make it available to people, but also on a bigger level, maintain and move forward this whole notion of the sports nutrition industry and the quality of the products, and making sure that that quality and and the science really comes first when we start talking about products and what they do. So that was kind of the idea. That was a couple of years ago, as I said. Then I started asking everyone, like, hey, where do you get your information? And it's all over the place, right? There's a lot of good information out there. That's not the issue. It's people, I talk to a lot of product formulators, and they'd be like, well, I get, I'll be on this podcast, or I'll be on this webinar, and then there'll be an article here. And thought, why not just bring that all together, highlight the good journalism in the space, stuff like what you guys are putting out, by just gathering kind of what we think is important for those end users to know, link back to some of those news stories, but then also create some content that really talks to them specifically. So that's where it started. And so, yeah, we're off and rolling to, some good favorable comments and activity. And so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. And you have some really like A+ top-notch partners, right? So they're helping you kind of get the information and get the word out there.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk to us about some of the people you're working with?
Yeah, sure. So on a couple of different levels, on the research level, there's a lot of top names as far as people in the industry, professors and folks in academia that have really jumped onto this like wholeheartedly. So that's been great. And if you check out, there's a lot involved. So I think the easiest, if you go to movenutritionnetwork.com, you'll see we're doing these digital magazines, we're calling them. And it's basically quarterly. It's called the Move Nutrition Quarterly. And if you go there, you can see we focus on one big topic every quarter that affects sports and active nutrition. This first one we did was women in sports and active nutrition, kind of diving into the research or lack thereof, and where that category is going. So, and really, when we talk about people that are on board with it, we highlighted several female researchers that are really trying to lead the growth in that area. So that's probably the easiest way to get a quick rundown of some folks involved. And then on the other side of things, besides the quarterly, we have regular podcasts, and we have a newsletter that'll come out, and there's some names you'll recognize there as well.
So for people who want to make sure that they're up on everything that you have coming out, do they subscribe or just follow the website? Yeah,
the easiest thing to do is go to the website. So movenutritionnetwork.com. You can read the whole quarterly there. That's just up, and we'll replace that. We'll add to it every quarter. But then if you want to get the newsletter where we round up the news stories, and share some of the original content we're doing, and then give some insights and perspective of why we think it's important for this community, then just sign up for the newsletter, and it's right on the homepage.
All right, very cool. So can you give us a sneak preview of what the next quarter will be?
What's coming up? Yeah, I'll give you a couple of things. So the next quarter that we're doing is all about the microbiome. It's about, gut health and athletes. You and I both know. So, well, first of all, Let me back up for a second. There's two sides of this, right? There's the side of, we know so much as far as gut health affects other things in our body. Absolutely true for people who are leading or trying to lead an active lifestyle, whether that's a pro athlete or someone just trying to move more, right? Then there's this other side of it that I'm anxious to dive into as well. And that is, as we're both distance runners, it's like, what do I eat before a race that will fuel me without bad feelings of being full? Like there's nothing worse than just having stomach aches while running.
It's so hard. Like you can so easily ruin all your training with bad, nutrition and, gut health problems. So I'm always, whenever I see articles on that, I'm like, what do I need to do? And it's so much trial and error. So you really do have to stay on top of it.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But probably the more overarching angle to this is there's a lot of really cool research being done into, the gut, how it affects performance, how it affects cognitive, how it affects, so much around that. And it all looking through the lens of athletes or people trying to be active. So excited about that. And then I'll give you coming up too, towards the end of the year, we're going to do a bunch of original research that will dive into those folks in the gyms or in consultations, talking to consumers about, their attitudes, what kinds of questions they have, what sorts of trends they're seeing, what advice they're giving, looking into their product knowledge a little bit to try to get a better grasp on how our industry, as we all know it, and we're pretty familiar with the science and the ingredients, how that translates to someone going in and taking clients every day in a gym or wherever that advice is doled out. And so we really want to get a good picture of that and try to understand attitudes and outlooks. And then also important for those people that are, on that vertical supply chain, somewhere in the middle, those ingredient formulators and people running brands, is where are opportunities, where are things that consumers are looking for, and how can they use that and marry that with the science to, keep, our goal is to make sure, it'd be great to look at the end of this and say, there's a sports nutrition industry that is thriving because of the good science and good products, which much of it is already, but we'd love to see the day where there's no room for, bad products out there, that it's just kind of squeezed out by, it's a big dream, but we think getting information out there is important.
Yes, absolutely. And I see that too, like so much value throughout the supply chain of what you're saying with that research, because also in terms of the messaging to help the brands reach these people in the gyms who are then connecting with the consumers. So yeah, a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, cool. And thanks for, keep coming up with the good reporting. We'll keep sharing what you're doing to those end users who may not see it if they're not as close to the industry as we are. And we just think that there's so much room to streamline this and kind of bring this conversation together, and excited to have you guys part of that.
Yeah, we love it. I love it. I'm all about everything fitness and nutrition, how it swirls together. So yeah, I will be a reader, and so I'm staying informed myself. So shout out again. So it's movenutritionnetwork.com.
That's right. Hey, thanks, Maggie. Let's just use this sports related podcast to just lay down some sort of commitment that, let's say in 2024, we do a race together, right?
Yes. Hey, I was looking at trail, like, I don't know if I can do a trail marathon, but like 18-mile trail run. Maybe we can.
I'm up for it. Yeah,
I know you are. That's like nothing to you. You're like, yeah, I did that yesterday. Just
no, that's totally not true. It wouldn't even have to be an organized race. We could just see if like Heather would dump some water somewhere out in New Jersey, and we could just take off and go for it. I'm fine with that too.
I love it.
All right. Well, thanks, Maggie.
All right. Good to talk to you.
Yep. See you.